Welcome to Casual Conversations. I am your host, Ryan Bean, here with my under the weather co-host that is laughing it off, but just told me 2 seconds ago she feels like she sounds like a man, but we're going to push through. We are going to push through for you guys because you're that important to us.
That's right. It's not the message, not the voice.
It's for our listeners out there. So thank you for tuning into another episode. Again, your continued support is so great. We are grateful for that continued support.
That's right.
So thank you for that. And last week we talked about worrying about things you can control and how much energy you focus on what you can't control. And I think it was a great topic.
It was Ryan's topic.
Yeah, I think it's something that we all deal with on a regular basis. I think it's something that it's hard to overcome, and it's something that we got to constantly remind ourselves to not focus on, but it's again, it's always easier said than done.
For example, I can't control that my son brings home daycare germs all the time, which causes me to sound like a man all the time.
She's just never going to sound like a man. So, but again, she can't control that, but she can control that she is still here for the weekly episode of the podcast, no matter what. So, anyway, so what are we getting into today?
Okay, so it's my topic, and I thought it would be a good topic because I just feel like there's so much of it out there. Okay. I wanted to talk about pettiness. Okay. And dealing with petty people. Why do people have to get to a level of petty? And how can we brush it off? Because I don't know. I don't know about you. And I think it comes mainly from females that I see it more because you see the drama and the pettiness that comes with that. But I mean, I just and also thought about it because Super Bowl just happened with the Kendrick thing, which I thought was a good halftime show. But then all of a sudden my timeline's getting hit with Serena Williams was there to be petty against Drake. And I'm like, why do we live a world of pettiness? Why? So,
great question. And the short answer would be, I don't know. I think, for us, I think when our feelings get hurt, it's the natural reaction is to hurt that person right back. Right. I think it's over time. You recognize, again, we talk a lot on this podcast about energy and where your time is being spent. And I think a lot of people get consumed by that type of nonsense. I think a lot of people feed off of it as well. I mean, again, I do agree that I do see it. I tend to see it more from females than I do on the male side, because I think in general, we're just wired differently. So yet another good topic from a male and female perspective, right? Because I think in general, males don't really get sucked into the drama. We really don't care. Things don't really, again, there's good and bad with that too, right? But again, I think overall in general, most men could care less. We tend to get over things a little bit more easily than females do. And we tend to not hang on to things like females do. Yeah. But I think a big part of it is we just, as a human nature, you hurt me, I got to hurt you back. Well, I want to hang on to these things, and it's just such a waste of energy. It
is, and it's just a constant. You're just continuing to keep that negative train going, right? And I'll never forget when I was going through this episode with that friend group, and they were being petty to me. I remember telling my brother-in-law, Vinny, your best friend, we're in the circle, we're in all circle, but and I was like, how do I let that go? How do you let that go, Vinny? He's like, because what does it have to do with my wife and my kids? I have them, we're good, that's all I care about. And when we start to put things in perspective like that, I was like, okay. And then he made me feel dumb that I'm caring about
dumb. It's just we look at things a lot more.
But you get angry because, once again, like you said it, they hurt my feelings, right?
So what's an example? What was an example of that being petty? What did they give me an example? Maybe I can give a little more feedback on that.
Oh, it's pettiness everywhere. But the one thing I can think about is when a friend and I went separate ways. I got blocked, I got deleted, but she invited my husband to a birthday party for her husband.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, there's those type of things.
Why?
Because they know it's going to get to you. Well, I think a big part of it, too, is because they know it's going to get to you. And I think, and again, I see this a lot, especially with my kids getting this stuff as well. And again, I think a lot of it has to do is, okay, how can I get to this person?
I think, right? Exactly.
And it's when you let them know that it doesn't get to you, and when you show that it bothers you, when you make comments that it bothers you, it's like you're putting gasoline on the fire. Right. And I think just for me,
that's them controlling your emotions.
Correct.
They can't control their own. so they want to control yours.
Now imagine how powerful it is when you don't give it a second thought.
Well, I mean, I had to learn by going through those, and now, I mean, I don't think twice about it. I deal with petty realtors all the time. I deal with petty people all the time, and even petty parents for my kids' daycare.
And I think part of it has to be too. I think another part of it is too is that someone feels like they have to win.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, for them, it's like, okay, I got one over on you. I hurt your feelings. Yeah. I made this friend group jump with me. They sided with me. You're wrong. I'm not. Yeah. Because they're so afraid of looking deep in themselves and saying, you know what, I need to change, or I drove this wedge in between the friendship, or I drove this wedge in between the relationship. It's a lot easier to be petty, make you look like the bad person, make you react to how they do it. And then all of a sudden now that shift goes, well, if there's a relationship, bro, if say a friend group, for instance, I'll use this as an example, and all of a sudden you guys have this riff. Right. Well, now if that person's to blame for the riff, now they have to worry about, well, what other people in our friend group are going to blame me? What other friends can I potentially lose because this person outed me, or this person saw the kind of person I was, or this person just elected they didn't want to be around me anymore. Now I look like the bad person, so I have to flip it to where I'm the good guy, they're the bad guy, it's their fault, not my fault. And I think that's where it stems from. I think I think generally speaking, males get like that too. It's just different. And I think, you know, from Vinny's perspective, he looks at it like most men do, is as long as you're not hurting my family unit, as long as you're not doing something that's going to impact my life and change the way the course of my life, really don't give it a second thought.
Well, and I look at Cole sometimes because, once again, he's just a nice guy, and I've heard people be petty with him. I get angry. I'm like, don't let them treat you like that. Don't let them talk to you. It's like, they don't matter. They're all bark. No bite. That really doesn't bother me. And I'm like, I wish I could have that level.
Well, it bothers you more than it bothers. And then again, there's the pettiness right there too, right? You're letting it consume you because you're automatically, but you're jumping to the defensive of your husband, which you should. Yeah. And you're like, and Allison does the same thing. But I think there's a good balance in there, right? Between defending your significant other, for sure, always has to happen. Yeah. And also, okay, are you holding on to these grudges? Right. Are you hanging on to this thing? And really, at the end of the day, who's controlling who? You said it earlier in this conversation. Are they controlling you if you let this eat at you? Right. And that's what they want. They want that party wants that. No. Well, and I think it also comes down to misery likes company. They love it. Right. And it's crazy to think, like, if you look at just TV or movies in general, it's all based off drama, right? Like, everyone loves drama because it's not boring. Why do we? But because it makes us feel better about our lives, right? We look at it, we're like, well, at least we're not that. Yeah. And so it's like all these negative little attributes about life are like stuck with the pettiness and stuff. It's like, why do we do that? Why do we get stuck down there? Well, it's like you just said, look at the TV shows you follow, look at all these things, because guess what? Drama comes entertainment. Yeah. Right? It's let me get the popcorn ready. That's why I watch sci-fi. Yeah, let me sit back. Yeah, I don't know about that. But and again, drama can, there's something it's for entertainment value. It's great, but I think, like you said, it consumes a lot of people. Then there's all this, again, pettiness back and forth, and then it just grows, it escalates, it becomes something that probably started off relatively small, becomes a much bigger thing because then you impact more people. But I think a big part of it is people are just so consumed with being liked. Yes. They are so consumed with being right. Now, again, my wife has this issue as well. I give her a lot of compliments. Yeah. Too many, honestly, in this thing. But one of the things that I know that she has to work on is she likes to hold on to grudges, and she knows it about herself. She knows that I'm the same way, Allison. That she needs to work on. But I have never met somebody that has to be more right than my wife. Yeah, and that's just who she is as a person. Well, it's because you live with her. Cole would say the same thing about me. Well, it's just sure, and it could be, or it could be vice versa. Whatever the situation can be, it's not always the wives, but it's okay. Flip. You just asked about pettiness. Why? Yeah. Why do you feel? And I would ask my wife the same thing. Why do you feel like you always have to be right? What are you gaining from it? What are you gaining from it except for hearing, okay, you were right, I was wrong? Does it make you feel that much better just to hear it? When you say that, like, I feel like that's petty. I look at that as being petty. Well, I think of like the last argument I had with Cole, and he admitted, like, you're right, and I was still angry, like,
oh, I got what I wanted, but why am I still mad?
Yeah, exactly. Because because you feed off the drama. Because you guys feed off the drama. You feed off the pettiness sometimes, and we all do it, right? But it's like at the end of the day, again, when you talk about petty, now petty can be different from other people. I look at that as very petty.
Yeah.
I look at it as if you're in an argument with somebody and you feel like you have to hear the words "you're right."
Yeah.
That to me is petty.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do you have to hear that that's right? Like, why does it make you feel so good to be right all the time? Why? And again, I'm just not wired that way, and I'm just not. I think most
men are.
They are not, because we don't care, because we realize that it's a complete waste of energy.
You're going to forget about it in 5 more minutes.
Yes, it's a waste of time. It's an absolute waste of time.
But us women remember an argument we had a year ago.
Oh my gosh, Allison remembers arguments from a decade ago.
I've got a little memory.
But can you just remind me? I was right though, right? I was right 10 years ago. I was correct. Yes, Allison, you were right. Do we need to put this in writing somewhere on this list? But just in general, right? So everyone has a different perception of what they feel is petty,
correct?
Right? And again, but to you guys in those situations, it's a big deal because you want just that validation that I'm right, and I think that's what petty stems from. I think petty stems from I feel like I need to have validation that I'm not the one. I'm not the one that is at fault. This other person's at fault. There's nothing wrong with me. All of this is because of this person decided a different friend group. They changed a different career path. They went a different direction in their life. There was nothing wrong with me.
Right.
And I think, and then they want people on board with them, right? Because they want to feel like, you know what? They want to hear it. They want to hear it. You know what, Elena? You're right. It was them. We're with you, girl. We're with you. You know what? You want to feel that. That's again that validation that you made the right call.
Win. You want to win.
You want to win.
And there's a quote that I think goes well with this topic is competition happens at the bottom, collaboration happens at the top. Mm-hmm. And you have to, if you think about it like that in any aspect, friendships, marriage, business, right? It's not like, hey, I'm going to get one on you because I want to be ahead of you. It's like, how can we win together?
That's the way it should be. And it's like, okay, who cares about who's to blame?
Now Cole's going to use that against me.
Well, at the end of the day, right? Again, it could be your fault. It could be my fault. But is the friendship strong enough or is the relationship strong enough to say, you know what? I messed up, but let's fix it. Let's move on. Like you said, let's collaborate. Let's figure out, okay, why did this happen? What caused this to happen? And I think a lot of the stuff that happens just in these examples that you're giving happen to be because one person is making a decision that they have to change the direction of their life. And I think what ends up happening is that person or persons is not on the same page as you at that time. Right. So it automatically causes a conflict, which causes pettiness, which causes arguments, which causes, because it's different, it's change. Yeah. And no one wants change. No one likes change because change usually comes at a price. It's usually hard to change. What you have to find out as a person, if they're that petty, is, look at yourself as well. And I'm not saying you as an example, just in general, is, okay, am I petty? Am I being petty here? Or am I just saying, you know what, I wish you nothing but the best and move on with life?
I'm known for being like a pretty understanding person. Am I not?
No, I think you're very understanding.
But I will admit there's been times that I've been petty too, right? Yeah. Because it comes from a place of hurt.
It absolutely does. And you know that you're being falsely portrayed. Right. That's a big part of it too, right? Because if you know that there's rumors out there, things are being said about you, it's also human nature to defend yourself. You talk about defending Cole, you want to defend yourself too and say, this is not right.
Yes, but the biggest lesson I had to learn there was you get told, be the bigger person. And I remember asking my therapist, and I was like, I am being the bigger person, but why am I freaking angry? Like, I'm so mad and I can't let it go. And it's because when you're trying to be a bigger person with a petty person and just letting them do things to you, you're not setting a boundary. And so you yourself are letting things happen that you don't deserve. So instead of being petty back, you just set the boundary like, okay, either you have to block them on social media if they're being petty, right? Or you have to remove yourself, but you're not just letting things happen to you. You can defend yourself in a mature manner, right? You don't have to meet their level of petty. And so I kind of started to take, that was 3 years ago that I had that conversation with my therapist. I'm like, why are people so petty to me? I don't understand. And it's because, once again, there are petty people in the world. Misery likes company, right?
Well, I think a lot of people just are, and all of us are. Yeah. Right? We're all goal-driven people, and a lot of us are. And a lot of us are not happy. Again, no matter how much you may have, I look at your life and I think, wow, this girl has got a wonderful life. Mm-hmm. She has a great marriage. She has a healthy young son. They have a great bond, but you're not happy where you're at in life. You want to continue to move forward. Now, yours is more professional. Obviously these type of things help us get better, right. As better human beings as well, but personally, but you're always driven to the next thing professionally, right? So in your head, you're not where you want to be. You still want to be a better, bigger, better professionally. You also want to be better personally, right? Yeah. So, you look at from that perspective, okay, I'm trying to be better as well. So maybe that's where some of this stuff gets, comes from. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Cause I think about we were in a group chat with our book club girls and I got thrown under the bus and naturally I wanted to text right back and defend myself. And I remember I sat back instead and I just let it go. But then a month later, I had a discussion with some of the girls at that time. And I said, listen, I know what happened. I don't need to defend myself. I'm secure in who I am. Mm-hmm. You guys believe what you want to believe. I can't control that.
Yep.
You believe what you want to believe. But I know who I am and I know what direction I'm going.
Right.
So I'm not asking you to choose sides. I'm just asking you to respect me and my decision.
Yeah.
Right. And then,
to your therapist point, there's the boundary, right? You set the boundary, but you did it at with the utmost class.
Yeah.
You didn't roll anyone else under the bus. You didn't feel like it was necessary to have the
I didn't have to bring in the details about the drama. No. I just said, this is what's happening.
No. And I'm telling you, it's a weight that gets lifted off of you because at the end of the day, you carry that pettiness along with you. Right? Yeah. You're no better than the other person if you just do it that way. And I know, again, it's cliche and it's very easy for us to say, just be this way. Right. And when you feel like you have to defend yourself, but you had to take a second to take a deep breath and go, okay, what good is going to come out of this if I react the way I want to right now? Right. And guys, I'm guilty of this all the time. I am guilty of this with my kids especially. Uh-huh. And this is one of the things I am really trying to work on and I'm trying to recognize as a huge fault of mine is how much more reactionary I am with my kids instead of trying to do things more proactively to change the behavior sometimes, because I just feel like I'm old school when it comes to that. And I wasn't raised that way. I was raised from, this is my home. This is my household. I tell you what to do. Yep. You say yes, sir, and you say thank you very much, and you move along the way. We live in a little bit of a different world, but I also look at, okay, what kind of relationship did I have with my parents later on in life? Yeah. And I go, okay, is that really the relationship I want my kids to have with me? Right. And the answer is no. I want my kids to have a lot closer bond with me. I want my kids to say, you know what, I'm really struggling. Dad, will you meet me for coffee? I really need some advice. Yep. I want my daughter to come to me and feel like she can cry on my shoulder and know that I've got her back 100%. So, okay, if I know long-term that that's the kind of relationship I need with my kids, the path that I'm going, which is the old school path, is not going to lead to that. What it's going to lead to is it's going to lead to them saying, Mom, Dad, I love you. See you when I see you. I don't have that bond with you. You might see them once or twice a year. They're off doing their own thing, and I don't want that long term. And I know that the window is dangerously closing as my kids get older to right that ship. And I've talked about it for a long time. And again, it's the same thing as about being petty. And the reason why, again, I'm going to connect the two, I promise, is that because my kids react a certain way, or they talk back, or they're disrespectful, and now I got to feel like I have to win. I got to get the last word. And even though I'm the adult and I should ultimately be that way, and I still ultimately will, it's how I reacted to it along the way. They trigger that reaction, and it's a petty response rather than trying to just change it and change how I parent them, change how we communicate as adults to them. And, that's something I'm really struggling with and continue to work for, but I also know that I'm going to put the effort into figuring it out. Right.
Yeah, I agree. It's a funny thing that it has to be around, but it's kind of the yin and the yang, right? You gotta have petty people to know what.
Well, it shows you what you're made of. Right? What you shows you what you're made of, and it's they'll eventually change too, and sometimes they won't. Yeah. But I think sometimes I think people overall, and you've seen this, because like you just said, I guarantee you, Elena today is not the Elena at 20.
No.
Right? You would have been more petty. You would have reacted a certain way. You would have put them on blast with a text message.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have stopped yourself and thought twice about it. So look at how far you've come. A big part of it's a maturity thing too. And a big part of it is you get to the point where you're just so sick of it. You're like, I'm just so sick of the drama. I don't need the drama anymore. I'm so tired of how I feel going through it. I'm tired of how much it consumes me.
Got better things to focus on.
That's it.
But I think it also comes down to quality over quantity, right? So the people that are being the petty usually are the ones that have the most friends, because pettiness overall is a division tactic. Okay. And so if you are attracting all these people that are attracted to negative energy, nothing good comes from that. No. And so that's kind of how I that's how my brain works. I have to make sense of things. And so to me, when I look at people being petty to me, I'm like, okay, they're trying to divide something. They're trying to one-up me on something to fill an insecurity that they can't feel within themselves, right? And I don't say this to them, but like, for instance, like I got a listing and a realtor didn't. She showed my listing and she put some petty feedback on there purposely because it gets sent to my clients. What do? I literally emailed back. It could have been petty. I said, thank you for showing my property, my listing, so-and-so. I appreciate your feedback. Have a great day. Right? But in my head, I want to say other things.
Right, but what do you think?
What was the point of that pettiness? And so that's what I'm saying. I'm just shutting it down, right? And I let it go. I'm not angry about it anymore because it is what it is.
And you still have the listing.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you still won.
Yeah.
And you won without having to show the world that you won.
Right.
You got exactly the result you wanted because you didn't care about making it a big deal. You didn't make it about yourself. And the other people, again, a lot of people like this too because they love the attention.
Yeah.
That's another big part of it, right? A big part of, in my opinion, just when I see petty people and I see people react to those type of ways or, passive aggressive comments on Facebook or you see different things, you're going, you are so desperate for attention that this is the only way you get it. And it's no different from when you look at how you grew up, right?
Yeah.
The people you surrounded yourself with, how you dressed. I tell Addison all the time, like, what kind of attention are you trying to get by dressing like that? When you leave in your, workout Lululemon shorts, which in my opinion, Lululemon, not knocking your brand, but I don't like the fact I have a teenage girl with shorts that are, so short, right? But, and just in general, that's the look. And these girls walk around like they're half naked.
Yeah.
And it's just baffling to me.
Yeah.
And I'm always telling my daughter, I'm like, what kind of attention are you seeking? And I get it if you get all these guys that are looking at you and you're a beautiful girl, she looks like her mom. She's going to get attention from male suitors. It's going to happen. I, as her dad, have to recognize that's going to happen. But I also go, be very careful on what kind of attention you're trying to get because it feels good, right? You love when the eyes are on you. You love when people like being liked. You want to be attractive to other people. All of those things are endorphins that make you feel good. I'm the same way, right? Guy wants to get big muscles. Dylan right now is big in his, big on his body. And Dylan's in really, really good shape right now. I have the same conversation with him, right? Are you doing this because you want to be healthy? Are you doing this because you want to look good?
Are you doing this? People?
Are you doing it just because you want to attract more girls? And he literally flat out told me, and he admitted to it. He goes, I want to attract more girls. So at least my teenage son is being honest with himself on who he is. But again, but he's also young, right? So they have to mature. They have to go through these things. And I've been petty. Yeah. I've been that person. I've been the person that's made the extra comment when I didn't need to.
Yeah.
And I felt good for about 30 seconds.
I know.
And then and again, I think you eventually just get over it. You got
to think about like why do I need to engage in the pettiness as a person, right? And
because we thrive off of drama. Maybe you're bored at home and you're like, I'm tired of watching Lord of the Rings for the 10th time.
I'll never get tired of that ever.
I need more drama. I don't know. I just think it's a human nature thing, and I think like anything in our life, you have to make it, and you have to make it a real focus to change what the kind of person that you are, the direction you want to go, the discipline you want to have. It takes effort. We've talked about this in this podcast. I don't know how many episodes we're into now. We've done a lot. And it all stems back to working at it. You have to work at the kind of person you truly want to become. And it takes work to not react. It takes work to say, you know what? Oh my gosh, I know the truth. I know that I can blast this person right now. I know I have all of this information. They can basically blow up their friend groups, make myself feel like the hero. And at the end of the day, what are you going to gain from that?
Other than feeling bad about it later. I mean, I do. Exactly when I've been petty, I felt bad about it.
Any true human does eventually, right? Yeah. Like I said, like my daughter's been the same way. And they'll get on Snapchat, and again, the automatic response is to be reactive. Yeah. And you feel good, and then you realize, you know what? I just sunk to that person's level. Yep. I just hurt their feelings because they hurt mine. And instead of being the bigger person, I felt like I had to jab at them one more time. I had to win. Yep. I had to get the last word. I had to get people on my side so that I felt better about myself. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, you said, I know how much that just hurt me. And all I did was put it right back on somebody else. And what good comes from that?
It wasn't until I became more secure in myself as I've been getting older that pettiness really hasn't bothered me. And so I feel like if you feel yourself constantly gravitating towards being a petty, that obviously is a signal that you need to work on your inner self.
You do.
And I mean,
use that energy somewhere else. Go take up a hobby. Go take another career path. Pick up a side hustle. Read a book.
This is probably another topic we got to do from a male-female perspective, because I feel like men don't do it, females do. But go to therapy. Literally, that was the game changer of my life. My life, and why I'm so at peace these days, because I learned more how to become more secure in myself. Right? Because old Alana, I was a people pleaser.
Yeah. But I do think it's different as well from male. I think males just have a harder.
You don't like to open up your little feelers.
No, that's part of it. But I think part of it is just anyone I believe, true men, like have that manly alpha. When I'm talking about that, they just realize this is what being a man is. Right. This is part of the journey, and part of the journey is you have to take things on the chin, and someone's got to be the strong one for the family. And you don't want to deal with your feelings, but two, it's also going, okay, I'm going to overcome this. And we also have trouble asking for help. At the end of the day, we don't. And that's something I'm trying to get better at doing, because you just feel like you got to do it all yourself. And again, I think most men, I guess the men in my group, I'll talk about that, because again, most of the men in my group are for the most part pretty alpha men, and it's, they want to raise the families. They want to support the families. They got to be the rock. They got to take everything on the chin. They're going to put this protective bubble around their wife and their kids. No one's going to hurt their wife and their kids. Right. They're going to take on that stress. But we carry a lot of stress with us, right? There's a lot of stuff that we carry because it's our responsibility. Yeah. And it's not because you don't want to open up about our feelings, or we don't want to ask for help. I think that's maybe a small part of it. I think part of it is look at it, again, the guys that I know this is my responsibility. I'm a man, and that just comes with it.
I was going to say, what is your experience from going to therapy to better yourself? How do you know you couldn't? I'm not saying better. Right?
I'm not saying you're my therapist. I am. You give me this week, and this.
You guys let me know how much I should charge him.
Yeah, right now it's free. She might, and my wife's my therapist. And my mother-in-law, she's my therapist. So I get my friends.
If you need somebody to listen, my husband's the best, because it goes in one ear and out the other. If you need advice, don't do that, because he's like, what?
Allison's like, she goes, so what did we just talk about? I have a very good way of tuning her out. And again, most of my men, it is. Oh my gosh, it's impressive how much we can tune things out for sure. We tune in when it's important. Again, because we don't get sucked into all that.
Or I hear I'm sorry, babe. Did you even hear what I just said?
No, I didn't know. I heard parts of it. I heard like little bits and pieces in there, and then I tried to repeat it, and Allison's like, that's not at all what I said. Yeah. She goes, you said like one or two things that I said. Yeah. Yeah. But
so I was just thinking about something, because like we said, that pettiness usually comes from more of a female group. And I think about it, and that's why I really haven't had a lot of female friends. Like, I have female friends, obviously, I'm in my book clubs, whatever, but I've always gravitated towards the male friend group, and luckily my husband's not jealous type, but because I don't care for that drama. But if you get in the group, like I said, I've been in mom groups, my kids' old daycare, and they're just patty to each other, and I'm like, why is this? But if you open my eyes up in this thing, it's the competition. Mm-hmm. And once you start to sit back and take your focus off and sit back and look at something from afar, you're like, competition happens at the bottom, collaboration at the top. Where do I want to be? Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to engage with that, because I don't want to be at the bottom. I'm Elena Spitzer. I know I'm not meant to be at the bottom.
And what's crazy, I love that. I love that. What's crazy too is how they'll see that it's not getting to you. They'll see that you're not part of it.
Yeah.
They'll see that you're not getting sucked in by it. Well, Elena, I don't understand why aren't you engaging in this? This is juicy stuff. Yeah. Look at these group texts that we're on. Why aren't you responding?
Did you see what she said?
What's your 2 cents? Yeah. Because guess what? They're trying to bring you into it. And again, think about where their feeling is like, I don't understand. Why is Elena not getting sucked into this? Well, now all of a sudden they're going to find ways to make that to jab at you because you're not getting sucked into it. So like a lot of times you just can't win, right?
Right.
You just, again, it goes back to being true to yourself, knowing who you are, trying to be the very best version of yourself that you can.
And if you look at some of the most happy people, right, and at most peace, do you see pettiness in those people?
No. Because they absolutely recognize what a waste of energy it is.
Yeah.
I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Like, I look at it as how busy I am in my life, how busy my wife keeps me. And if anyone knows my wife, we go a lot. Sometimes I have to talk to we need to scale back. I need some days where I get some downtime.
Yeah.
And every now and then she'll throw me a weekend, like once a quarter, where she gives me like a Saturday and Sunday.
They know not to hit me up.
I gave you one Saturday and Sunday off for the next 3 months. Yeah. Now you're booked for the next 6. I don't want to hear you. Yeah. I don't want to hear you complain, but we stay busy. We stay active. I'm involved. We get involved with our kids. I think that's a big part of it too, is the busier that I am, the less time I have for that.
Right.
I don't have time for that. I have time for my inner circle. I have time for trying to make my life better. I have time for trying to make my kids and my wife's life better and easier. I have time to focus on my business and my employees. I have time for this podcast because I feel like it's the right messaging to the right type of people, to the people that can take what we're saying, put their own spins on it. And again, that doesn't mean you're going to agree with everything that Ryan says. You're not going to agree with everything Elena says. Sometimes we will disagree. There's comments where I'm like, okay, I see her perspective. Maybe I disagree a little bit with it, but I see where she's coming from. That's the beauty of it.
That'll never happen.
And I'm sure vice versa. It's the beauty of it, right? It's the beauty of those type of things. So that's where my time and energy can go. And like you said, you are who you surround yourself with. I surround myself with successful people. I surround myself with people that are, like you said, collaborate. I associate with people that care genuinely about other people moving forward in their life. Like when things happen for you, I'm overjoyed with true happiness when things work in your favor. I can tell you, for the people that are listening, outside maybe your very, very close inner circle, the majority of the people that are in your circle or the associates that you're with do not have that same feeling.
You tell them, you know how to read energy. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be me. I'm the energy queen, but you know energy as a human being. You tell somebody some good news and immediately you feel that resistance from them to be enthusiastic for you. You know what kind of friend they are. And I used to be surrounded by that and I would force myself, oh no, it's just me. And I would dim my light. Who suffers from dimming your own light? You do. And what ends up happening is, think about what also the end result of that is that when you're positive, like you just said, I'm Elena Sweetster, I know where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. Well, you're actually holding back other people from being that, because it's the vice versa, right? When you, like you said, you have that light, you're like, okay, I'm a leader, I'm a winner, I'm going to be successful. That's who I'm going to be. Who else do you not get to influence if you don't become that true self yourself, right? You're holding yourself down here for the sake of other people. You're holding yourself up. So it goes back to our last episode. Who's controlling who? At the end of the day, you have full control of that decision. But again, what ends up happening is if you have to downplay your excitement, I got this new house, I got this raise, I'm pregnant. And your friend, I remember Krista going through one of those things with one of her best friends, one of her friends that she grew up with, and her friend was struggling to get pregnant. Krista gets pregnant. And her friend, because she struggled with it for 2 or 3 years, made her feel awful about it. Rather than saying, you know what, yes, it sucks internally that I can't get pregnant, but I know how bad I wanted it. And even though I'm struggling with it right now, the fact it happened for you and it happened for you easily, I'm overjoyed for you. Because I wouldn't want you as my friend to feel this pain that I feel. That's how it should trigger. It should never be anything different than that. It's like your friends getting the big promotion at work, or getting the new home, or they get their vacation house, or whatever happens, right? They get this great thing that happens to them in their life.
put all of that energy into joy for them, because what ends up happening is then they feed off it, then they want more, and then they feed off of other people, and other people get better.
It becomes a ripple effect.
It absolutely does. And where's the ripple effect happen? Either it happens at the top or it happens at the bottom. And you being afraid to share, you being afraid to share your good news or your good things with the people around you because you know the envy that's going to come with it. I'm telling you right now, for people listening, I'm sorry to tell you this right to your face. Those people have got to get cut out of your life.
Yes.
Period.
Without being petty. Without being petty.
No, I'm not saying be petty. What I'm saying is that you are obviously being held down, or you are being forced to be someone that you're not because you're afraid of hurting someone's feelings because of something good that's happening to you. Yeah. That's telling you everything that you need to know. And I'm not saying that those are bad people. What I'm saying is that those people are never going to help you become who you should be. Period.
Who you were born to be.
That's it. And again, you have to learn that, and it's going to suck.
Right.
It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt people's feelings. It's going to probably hurt your feelings along the way. Because again, what I'm telling you is those are not the people that you should be around. They're just not. And
if it hurts your feelings, and I learned through therapy and my real estate coach along the way, is you just have to remember your journey. What are you doing this for? Right? Yeah. And petty people typically are distractions. That's all it is.
Yeah, but
it's just going to take you off course.
Yeah, but do you think is your life more rewarding by uplifting other people?
For me, it is.
That's me too.
I've always been that way.
So when you see other people that can feed off of your energy and feed off your success and feed off those good things that happen to you, rather than trying to hold yourself back because, oh man, well, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, I got this. And internally, you know how excited you are. This promotion just changed the direction of mine and Cole's life. Right. It's going to allow us to buy the home in the neighborhood that we want. But I can't overshare it because it may, come across like I'm bragging, or it may come across like I know these people aren't anywhere there. So it's like, yeah, I got a raise at work, and I'm proud of myself for it. And deep down, you're going, this has just changed my life with my family.
I immediately think about this time Cole was talking about before we bought our current house, and we were on set to close on our third house, and I could feel the energy shift in the room. And I remember we left later, and I told him, I said, we can't discuss that around those people because they think we're bragging, but we're not bragging. It's like we're proud of the work that we worked on. And when he was talking about it, it's like, yeah, man, that's all you have to literally own the house, you live in it, fix it up. This is how we did it. But they didn't take it as an uplifting moment. They took it as, you're doing better than me. I want you back down here.
Correct.
Right? And it, like I said, it goes back to the energy. You know the energy in the room. Mm-hmm. Cole, if I know Cole and I are not bragger type of people. Mm-hmm. We're proud of the work we've done, but we also want to collaborate with those that have done things that we want to do too, right?
You and I, Chris, our friends are always talking about what can we go do together? What business can we bring in together? Yeah. What real estate do we buy? Do we buy property? Do we build something? Because we're trying to all get better, right? It's not a comparison thing. It's again, like you just said, you're in a much better position than probably 95%, if not more, than the people in your age group.
Yeah.
Why should you feel bad about that? You made decisions. You made sacrifices. Mm-hmm. You guys made the hard call you did the work that other people just aren't willing to do. So why do you feel like that should be held back? That should be celebrated.
Right.
And again, we get to this point where it's like, I don't want to make these other people feel bad. It's not about making them feel bad. You did the stuff they weren't willing to do.
Right.
So the reward comes with doing what other people weren't willing to do. And again, it's easy for me to talk about it because I've never been that way. I've never been a jealous person. I've never been envious. I take that back. There's certain things, and again, human nature, you have envy for where people are, or man, I deserve more money, or I should make more money, or, this guy's a millionaire already, and, I'm still freaking barely making 50 grand a year, whatever it may be, right? And so you have some of that natural stuff, but overall, I'm typically very happy for when I see other people, especially with the people that are in my friend group, that are doing well in life, because you want your friends to do well, and you want them to say, okay, come on this journey with us. Let's figure out how to do it together. Like you just said, hey, Cole, how did you and Elena do it? That's how I would be asking it. Yeah. Wow, you're on your third house already? Man, give me the play-by-play.
Yeah.
What did you do? Maybe I'm missing. Maybe there's something that I could do. Well, I might have to save up for a year to get the first one.
I have to buy an uglier home than I anticipated as my first house.
I may not want to live. This isn't my forever home. I may have to live in this house for 2 years because of this, or I may have to be here for 5 years.
I might not have to buy that new car for 5 more years.
Yeah, I may have to. Correct. And so I may have to skip on those vacations.
I'll never forget my car that sounded like a dying whale, but I had no car payments.
Yeah, and you owned it. But again, all of a sudden, everyone's like, well, you have 3 houses.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you have 3 houses. It must be nice. You have 3 houses.
Oh, I get heard that must be nice all the time.
Oh, it's crazy. It must be nice. Like, I
worked for this.
Yeah, I did the work you weren't willing to do.
Yeah.
But guess what? You had plenty of the weekends to go out drinking. You got to go to the clubs. You got to go to partying. You went on 3 vacations a year.
Yeah.
You bought the brand new Mercedes in your driveway. Yeah. You got no problem saying those type of things, right? But at the end of the day, they flip it because they're going, now I have this mountain of debt. I don't know how I'm going to afford it. I can't ever move forward. I'm stuck in this life. And then they're watching this person kind of come behind the scenes.
So I'm saying the pettiness kicks in because it's trying to chip away at your growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what I said. I now look at pettiness as that's just a distraction.
That's it.
I acknowledge people and their feelings, but literally I know when petty people are being petty people, and it is what it is.
That's it.
Right. So you got to teach that to Addie.
That's them. Well, again,
it'll come around. It always comes around.
Yeah, because we've all been there, right?
I don't care how good people think their lives are or post about how good their lives are. You're a petty person. You're not a happy person. And I genuinely believe, like, what a waste of a life to be unhappy all the time.
We have one. And it is a gift that we take for granted every day. And I know we've kind of got off tangent like we normally do, but we keep bringing petty back into it. No, it all stems from being petty, and it's absolutely right. But when you think about, and again, it's just maturity. It's years of going through it. It's realizing, but it's recognizing the person that you don't want to be.
Right.
And I think that when me and Allison made these shifts in our lives and we changed things, it was all because we knew that we were people that we weren't destined to be. We weren't the kind of people that we wanted to be.
Right.
We knew that we wanted to have more in our life. We wanted more out of life. We wanted to enjoy our lives. We have one go around, and it could be taken away from us literally tomorrow. I can be talking to you today and get hit by a bus tomorrow. And I want my kids, I want my friends, I want the people around me to know I tried to give more than I took. I tried to put good in the world. I tried to do the right thing. I tried to not get sucked into the drama. I try to make people around me better and to see what a great gift this life is. And I'm not intending to ever wasting it. Right. That's just who I am.
I mean, there you go. Got to put that on a t-shirt.
With Be the Buffalo.
Maybe a poster. A poster would be better.
Be the Buffalo fits a lot easier.
Put it in my office. Ryan Bean.
Quote. Yeah. So anyway, hopefully you guys got out of this a good topic.
Yeah. Let us know what you thought or your personal experiences of going through pettiness and how you persevered through that.
And do you find yourself getting sucked into being petty? What is the gain? What are you truly gaining from it?
Good, Ryan.
What are you getting if you become that person? Don't let their pettiness become you.
Don't let them control you. You control you.
That's it.
Make it a great day.
Have a good one, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.